Greetings, everybody. This is Martha Creek. This is Tuesday, June the 4th, and this is class 1 of 4 classes of the Wisdom and Revelation from Mystical Consciousness, a book I was gifted of poetry since I've been immersing myself in poetry for the calendar year 2024 as a part of my spiritual practice. So thank you, Ron, in Panama City for sending me the book and for lifting me up in that way. The book is not necessary. It's absolutely up to you. I will be reading and sharing from the book. And if you want to have it, of course, that's up to you to get it. And it's I Am God by John C. Robinson. Welcome, everybody. It's an honor for me to be here with you tonight. This class is for our own deepening of our own consciousness and to have our own wisdom and revelations from our own mystical consciousness. So that's the prayer and the faith and the presence that I hold for this, including my own and therefore for you. And at any time you have a question, want to share, I encourage it. There will be a time in each of the classes for that, and a time, hopefully, that we pause and do our own reflections, even in the class time that we are together, which is 1 hour. You're welcome after tonight to invite anybody that wants to come to the class, even though they weren't here tonight. They're welcome to join in next week and any of the other times in June. So all the Tuesday nights in June, which are 4. And marthacreek.com is the way to contact me for feedback, questions, dialogue, support, any way in the world that I can serve you. And my email and phone number is there on the website, marthacreek.com. Welcome, everybody that I've not called your name. I'm reading now from the text, The Mystic's Vision. This is in the introduction to the text and the poetry. Some people approach the divine through scripture. Others approach the divine through ideas, beliefs, and intuitions. The mystic seeks direct, first-hand experience of the divine to explore its perceptual, emotional, and metaphysical dimensions. For the mystic, the entire universe is conscious. The entire universe is conscious and alive, saturated by an all-encompassing and infinitely loving presence. In its sacred and timeless consciousness, God becomes creation itself. Practicing mystical awareness we gradually awaken from a patriarchal dream of reality to discover who and where we really are, an experience that is transformational and liberating. So take a deep breath into that and check your own willingness in this moment now to experience a transformational, liberating new discovery regarding your own consciousness. And establish that to the highest degree possible. So we devote this time to our conscious evolution, to our own direct experience of source, of expanding our own wisdom and our own mystical consciousness. We do so with devotion, with clarity of thought, with practice, with application, and active in the absolute potential that it be realized now. So be it. Reading from chapter 1, Becoming God. I will read slowly as we are invited to by the author to read the verses slowly and consciously, as the poetry has been written in mystical consciousness. Thus, it carries a spiritual energy in the words and the revelations. I'm inviting you, as I will, to pay close attention and be willing to awaken the same states, perceptions, and realizations in ourselves as we read, hear, listen, feel, and think as a mystic. One consciousness. God's consciousness fills the universe. God's consciousness fills the universe. Everything contains and expresses it. Everything contains and expresses it. The world is alive, awake, aware, loving, and breathtakingly intelligent. We each share this consciousness. Though we wrap it in a personal identity and assume everyone's version is uniquely theirs. What does this mean? What does this mean? God's consciousness fills the universe. Everything contains and expresses it. The world is alive, awake, aware, loving, and breathtakingly intelligent. And we share this consciousness wrapped in our own personal identity, as everyone else's version is also uniquely theirs. What does this mean? Any comments? Any responses to this first part? You're welcome to put it in the chat, or wave or raise your hand, or electronically wave your hand. Please feel free to speak. There's no right or wrong answers here. What does this mean for you, to you? What is your direct experience of hearing these first few lines from the text? Anybody? Jean Myman?
It just reinforces the fact that we're all connected. Everything, even the earth, the flowers, all peoples. We're not alone in this. And what we do affects others. Even something small can make a big difference. So like the web, everything is touched when we move and do. That's what I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean. Get a sense of it in your body, the realization of that. Reverend Ron says, we are in truth a oneness. Not just an idea of that, a platitude of that, an affirmation of that. What does this mean to you, Cassandra?
I want to comment first on what you read before chapter 1. Reminds me of a quote by Chief Arval Looking Horse of the Lakota, Dakota Nations. And he says that we are here in this time and this place to decide the future of humankind. Did you think you were here for something else? Yes, all is consciousness. And since I started the path with the Theosophical Society, that's when I found out there were 4 kingdoms: the mineral or elemental kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and humanity. So it all works together as one. You're kind of evolving up the scale. So absolutely everything has consciousness. So whenever I kick a rock or step on an ant or say hello to a dog, I know that I'm speaking to God. And when I drop a plate, I even apologize to the plate. So it may not have the level of consciousness as humans, but they're inanimate objects, but but it still has consciousness. So we're here to evolve and discover this for ourselves. And you talked about sometimes we may need to start with scripture or something else to get on the path until we get to the point where we know thyself. Know thyself. So if your body aches, what is the physicality trying to tell you? And if you're flaky in your mind, what does that mean? Is too chatty or whatever? And then there's the spirit. Absolutely all 8 billion of us on the planet can go within to the upper room to listen to that still small voice. So that's the commonality of all 8 billion of us. Now, becoming God is like evolving from, now, it says we are gods. It's in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Evolving from the small g to the capital G as a part of that journey, that spiritual journey of why we're here. So, in a lot of my prayers, I will say 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 until eternity. You still get 1. I mean, that's God's math, not man's math. So, so again, it is about consciousness. It's all inclusive. It's ever expanding. We're alive as the interaction, the world is mirroring back to us our consciousness. So, there you have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, honey. You know, that's very, very scary to think that it's mirroring my consciousness. Because I'm sure, like, yikes at times, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So
Yeah.
you're being thanked, honey, if you see that in the comments.
you.
And thank you all for your weighing in here. And so the rest of this piece is this. What does this mean? And then the next lines are this. It means you have direct access to the consciousness of God.
Mhm.
No waiting. No barriers, no obstacles. Not when I get enlightened. You and I have direct access to the consciousness of God. This realization alone can begin your awakening. The realization of this can begin My awakening. See if you can say that. Everybody's muted. If you can say that for yourself. This realization alone can begin my awakening. This realization that I have direct access to the consciousness of God can begin my awakening. Big deep breath. So think about what the scientists have taught us about somatic joining or somatic realization. So something beyond the intellect, something beyond the words, a direct experience. Then page, I'm still reading now, a new piece. This one's called God's Mantras. Realizing God's consciousness is our consciousness begins a new chapter of spiritual life. If tonight we actually have an awakening, new mantras can help bring this expansion. So in a quiet, wide awake consciousness, repeat after me. I do not exist. I do not exist. And notice, is that freeing or frightening? And let both be okay. I do not exist. I am not this. Repeat after me. I am not this. I am God. I am God. I am not this. I do not exist. So I'm reading now from the text. Simply repeat these mantras deliberately, consciously. Notice what you feel. Notice how perception changes. And notice what surprises you most. And then go deeper. So now silently and sincerely Keep repeating, I am God. I am God. I am God. Keep repeating it. Pay close attention to what happens to you. Was about 1 minute. Notice a new intensity or revelation or a clarity. Notice what expanded through you or around you. Consciousness everywhere. God's consciousness as your own. A more awakened state. Revealing the sacred perfection of all being. We begin a new life. Let me hear from some of you. What did you experience or notice from repeating the mantra? I am God. I am God. Julie?
Well, that was awesome. So in the first part, I had this idea of a web that each part could be touched upon to experience the awareness, the loving, the intelligent, the consciousness is everywhere, and every bit of that web would lead to another, and interconnected. And then I was like, well, what am I? And I'm like, I guess I'm the spider. I'm just like sitting there and feeling kind of clumpy, and I don't know. And then in this part, in repeating that, I at first had I was fine with I do not exist, I am not this thing. And then I am God, I had to like substitute, like I found that I had a concept of God that was very limiting when I said it. And I'm not even sure it's the one that I believe in, or if anyway. But what happened to that spider, I just kept like, the image never went away. It was just sort of shimmering and the spider just dissolved into it. And the whole thing was just lighter. And I felt like the air around me got lighter. just being part of consciousness and not anything else. So that was delightful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, honey. Thank you for sharing your own experience. That's not yours either, by the way. Marcia.
I had issues with the first two. It was tears. I guess I was fighting it. I don't know. But when we got to the I am God and kept repeating, it was an immediate fullness, like a pressure within me just growing. And all of a sudden, there was no boundary there, my skin, nothing. And it just kept going out and out. It was lovely. It was lovely. Just like, no, I don't exist. It's everywhere. So it was very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, honey. Thank you. It sounds easier. Pam.
Can you hear
You're-
me?
Yes, thank you.
Interesting that I spent time with the writing earlier today. I was early for a stretch class at the Y, and I sat for 45 minutes in my car repeating just, I am God. The transformational occurrence, because I would repeat it differently. I am God. I am God. And the power came into me. And it has not left me since this morning. It's been, and ironically, I've had a tremendous day, but I've been in the car all day, and I have just been repeating it. And it has brought a presence into me. Thank you.
Thank you also, honey. And thank you for trying it on. You know, that's what it's for. Otherwise, it's just Martha Creek's blah, blah, blah. And for sharing it here, honey. And most of us are secretly a little jealous that you've had such a profound experience already. So we got a glimpse of it though. We got a glimpse of it. And I got a glimpse of it like you the day I got this book. Even before I opened this book, there was an energy in this book that I got something from that you're describing here without me even having to open it.
Yeah.
Without even having to open it or read a word of it. So we're on to something, folks, apparently. Anybody else? What did you experience or notice? And you can say nothing. I think this is nonsense. You're welcome to share authentically what your direct experience was. God works in mystical ways. Anybody else want to speak?
Martha,
Bonnie,
I noticed as I was saying, I am God repeatedly, each time I said it, it got easier and easier and easier, and my body started almost melting into this chair that I'm in. And then this thought came in that I had to go to the refrigerator and get this corn out, put the corn in a pan, put some butter in there and fry this corn and eat it. And even God fries corn. And it made me feel really connected to something really small that I like doing. And God does too, maybe.
well, and maybe drop the maybe.
Maybe. I guess. That's just weird. It's just, I just thought that was weird. I don't know.
So God is that too, weird as can be, if what we're reading is true. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
So that's in one of the readings in here. It invites us to be, as you're describing here, Bonnie, the viewer, which we've heard from every sage and seer over time, the power of staying observant, the observer, the objective viewer. And to the degree that we stay objective, we will be less subjected to it, less subject to it, less believing that I exist again, or this is personal, or there's a me, or that I've got to do something here. Versus, let me start to observe again, remain the viewer. All right. The next piece I selected is from the same chapter, Becoming God, chapter 1. And it refers to the 9 realizations of awakening. So I'm going to put these in the chat for those of you who don't have the book. And it's on page 15 if you have the book or need to look at it or read it or refer to it later on. And I'm going to ask you to repeat these and notice how each of them feels. And each week I'll present an invitation for us to practice. So it could be this at least a few seconds a day or a minute a day, or when I'm in the car before I answer the phone, that I do some I am God, I am God, I am God, I am God, God, I am God, something. It may be one of these that will be more resonant with you. The first one is this: I am not who I think I am. Could you repeat that with me? I am not who I think I am. I am not who I think I am. And notice the feeling. The second one is all consciousness is God's consciousness. All consciousness is God's consciousness. All being is God's being. All being is God's being. Conscious being is unity with God. Conscious being is unity with God. God rises in the depths of conscious being. God rises in the depths of conscious being. Conscious being creates the human divine. conscious being creates the divine human. The I am God experience leads naturally to sacred action. The I am God experience leads naturally to sacred action. Divine consciousness reveals that heaven on earth is already here. Divine consciousness reveals that heaven on earth is already here. Imagine. And the last one, number 9, this is the next stage of spiritual evolution. This is the next stage of my spiritual evolution. So as I add these to the chat, if you would read them silently and continue to observe how you feel as you speak it, or silently, or both. So there are the 9. So pick one that you had some response to, some feeling about, some resonance with. And then let's spend a minute just repeating that, whichever one you picked. Let's repeat it for 1 minute and get a sense of it in your body, of feeling it. Whichever one you picked, just silently or aloud, repeat it. What did you notice? Were you thinking or feeling? Anybody? What was your experience?
Martha,
Bonnie?
I picked the I am God leads naturally to sacred action. And as I repeated it, I noticed that today I'm pet sitting this golden retriever. And when I came home, she had broken the gate down in between her area and the house. And so instead of yelling at her, I chose to just fix the gate. And because she would never know why I was yelling at her. And I think that that was sacred action because I didn't yell at Reese. It's just a simple thing, but I didn't yell at her. I didn't choose to yell at her.
Yes,
A holy moment. Yes, Francis. From
indeed, honey. Yeah, indeed.
yes.
And the way we would be, Bonnie, in much more of our interactions, if we were as conscious as you were in that moment. That if we believe this, if this is true, then I'm yelling at life itself, God, creation, and it's absolute madness.
Mhm.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's powerful. Today, I had some confusion about when I was going to leave my home. I'm in bug tussle tonight with my brother at his home to take him in to doctors. Many of you have been praying for him. Thank you very much for that. It's been one miracle after another. I can tell you that. So it's been a boot camp of practice also for me. And it was, when am I going to go? Am I going to go at 2? Am I going to go at 3? Am I going to go at 4? Well, I don't want to get these recordings done before I go. Well, now it's raining. I don't really want to go in the rain. It's like, oh my God, well, why don't I just wait and go after the class? And then there was this observer this presence in me that was able to watch that madness, the confusion, and then follow the directions for when it was time to go. That wasn't on plan. It wasn't what I had in mind. It's what was true. It's time to go now. So Frances posed the question. I'd love to hear from some of you. How would you describe sacred action? Before I thought about it, Frances, my response was, whatever action I'm going to regret less. So if I yell at the dog, I'm going to regret that. I'd likely hate myself. And if I stayed in the madness of the mind, trying to figure out what's the right time to leave and the rationale of it, I couldn't have been in presence to it. Sacred action. Cassandra.
Doing that which is yours to do in a manner of service, knowing that you're in the right place at the right time to perform or act as God, to be the light.
Yeah, beautiful, honey. Yeah, I remember inviting speakers to come to our church when I was there leading in Louisville, and they would not be available or whatever. And I'd get clear messages, and almost 100% of the cases, you do what it is you're wanting them to do. So whatever you think you're calling them in to do is yours to do. They're not available for it. You're available for it. Marcia.
What comes to mind immediately is, first of all, I complicate things way too much. So sacred action is simplicity. And also what would love to. In every interaction, I don't care if it's with another human, an animal, a plant, a bug, myself. What would love do? How can love be expressed simply?
Thank you, honey. Frances is grabbing her heart and sending you a heart, honey. So it must have been meaningful to her to hear that. What is sacred action? So think about then these concepts as we practice this month or this week, tonight, tomorrow, in doctors' offices and getting results and planning and scans. I am not this. I don't exist. This is not who I am. This is not who he is. So, and then the last practice I want to introduce is from the text in 17. It's the shortest one so far. And it's entitled Meeting God. Meeting God. When I long to see the face of God. When I long to see the face of God, I look in the mirror. I look in the mirror and now smile in recognition. When I long for relief, when I long for presence, when I long to know, when I long to have a direct experience, I look in the mirror And now smile in recognition. My friend Calvin years ago said the first thing he did, and he spent admittingly, spent a lot of time in front of the mirror, as he was very intentional about how it looked and how he presented to the world. And he said, before he starts dutying himself up, he simply looks in the mirror, makes connection with God, and goes, like, I know you're there. So think about how you might smile in recognition if you believed even a morsel, even a hair, that it's God looking through your own eyes, what we've called our eyes. And there's a song many of you have heard, I'm sure, that I play in many of the intensives and retreats that I use, called The Face of God. So I'd encourage you to circle back to it for this practice. And as you're using your mantras or whatever you picked, whatever you're taking away from tonight, to let some of that music maybe amplify or uplift you in your new realizations of what it would be like to actually live from a living spirituality of I am the face of God, versus a platitude that I am the face of God. One moment of what y'all have demonstrated here tonight, one moment of full blasting love, one moment of full blasting love can be as powerful as a lifetime of good works. This is how we change the world. So somebody sent me a story about a man. He's evidently somebody famous. But as y'all know, I'm the last to know about what's famous and what's not. And he said as a kid, he was often hungry, and he took a little lunchbox to school that was a Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox. And he still had it, and it looked pretty ragged. And the truth was, his lunchbox was empty. He went to school every day with an empty lunchbox. And no one noticed. And then one day, he was called out during lunch. And when he got back to the lunchroom and his lunchbox, somebody had put an apple and a cookie in it. And it changed his life. So his invitation, that was very moving to me, is around small gestures, or what we would call small gestures. That aren't really, like, don't yell at the dog. Like, notice if someone's lunchbox is empty. Any questions before we close? comments, anything you're taking away? Thank you for being here. Cassandra?
Oh, is this homework to do this as a practice as part of our spiritual practices, like 5 or 10 minutes a day? You want us to
Yeah,
get used to?
anytime you're willing to, honey, a few moments, 5 or 10 seconds, 5 or 10 minutes to
Okay.
use your mantra, to use some mantra like I am God, this is not who I am, I don't exist, or any of those 9 awakened states like that. And to, before I do something, like before I fire off my email, it's like, okay, this is a sacred action.
Okay,
Before I answer the phone, this is a sacred action.
gotcha.
The tone of my voice represents a sacred action. And then to look in the mirror, to actually have some mirror time and smile in recognition. And what I did in my early days, long before I ever had this book, is to look in the mirror. And as you can tell, I don't spend much time in the mirror. And to look in the mirror until I can see who is seeing me.
Okay.
So I look in the mirror, not to hate and judge the hair and the eyes and the brows and the wrinkles and the third chin. I look in the mirror to see who is seeing me. That's what the mirror is for me. Francis.
I just wanted to say thank you, Martha. I couldn't manage a summer without you, and this is just a great, wonderful class for where I am. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, honey. Really glad you made it, all of you.
Mhm.
Okay. Who's there? Who? Somebody raise their hand.
Mm.
I didn't, but I echo what was just said. This is wonderful and perfect for me. Thank you.
Thank you too, Julie. You're welcome, honey. So let's close together. If you'll say these words with me. I change the world. I change the world. Immersed in mystical consciousness. Immersed in mystical consciousness. I change the world.
Yes.
Transforming everything I see. I awaken, and the world wakes up around me. I am what God is. I am what God is. My sincerest thanks for each of you. Come back next week if you can. Invite others to come that may be benefited through this work. And you're welcome to share the links with anybody that you want to. And if you want to send a donation or gift, you're welcome to do that through the website, marthacreek.com. You're also welcome to receive. Till we meet again. Biggest love. So good to see you. So good to see you there, Russ. Cassandra, are you trying to speak, honey? Bye, Julie. Bye, Jeannie. Bye, Pam. Bye, Ron. See y'all on the 16th, honey. I'll be back over there on the 16th.
Okay.